Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome back to the podcast of the Crazies, but also welcome to the first official episode of 13 Cards, Subject to Change. This is Zach Bouchard once again with Leroy. Leroy, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our podcast again.
All right, so this is the first official episode that we're having. Thank you all so much for joining us, and once again, we are bringing you live from Leroy's kitchen. Leroy, what do we have in the kitchen today that we didn't have last time?
The vacuum.
Well, thank goodness for that. I'm so glad that it looks like he might actually be cleaning the studio. But for those of you who may or may not know, we are currently still in quarantine, as is most of the world. And you know what? Looks like we're going to be there for just a bit longer, hopefully maybe a little longer, we don't know. But Leroy, we happen to still be in quarantine, both in Minnesota. Wisconsin is, I believe.
Yeah, that's true, because, I heard something. There's a hurricane coming through, and...
what Leroy is referring to is our elected officials have told us all that we have to be in quarantine due to the fact that the governor of Minnesota specifically put out a statement, Governor Walz, and his statement actually read as such. Ladies and gentlemen of Minnesota, quarantine and stay-at-home orders are in effect due to the fact that we all need to stand back. There's a hurricane coming through. And after that, we don't have anything else due to copyright. So, anyway, Leroy, what's on the show today?
All right, well, are we going to go through all the list here? We got a few topics. List, but, we got about 13 topics to go through, of course, and hopefully we'll get through all of them. We'll start... talking about empty arenas. We did that a little bit last time, but, we'll get our thoughts on this. I mean, I've been watching a few people there that we associate with in the PWL have not been watching it very often, but I have. And it's...
I watch every week. Sadly, there's no more sports on due to this hurricane. It's got everyone afraid for their health and their well-being, and nobody wants to get sick from the hurricane. So
that's true, and everybody was sitting there, and it was like the highest rating ever for the NFL draft. I was watching it myself too because there's nothing else going on.
So much fun!
Yes.
Much fun. We'll have a few have a few fun things to say about the draft while we move forward. But anyway,
maybe.
So empty arena shows. As everyone knows, due to the hurricane crisis, fans are not allowed in the arena, and all shows, at least from WWE, have been taking place at the WWE Performance Center in Florida, home of the obviously new superstars that'll be coming up in the future. And I don't know. Obviously AEW's had some empty arena shows. I'm not 100% sure if all their shows are in the same place or if they're...
Yeah, I'm not sure about that. I have to look into that, but they might be trying to do that because it would be the smart thing to do.
Well, and that was the one thing that I said from the beginning was I didn't know how AEW was going to react just because, they don't have the Performance Center. They don't have this thing that allows them to put on these high-quality shows. They don't have a crew that's ready. But obviously, they've made their weekly show continue, as has WWE with both Raw and SmackDown.
Then I saw that Impact is back to the same with them. They're recording shows with nobody. Because it was for a few weeks. They had crowds there, and I'm like, what the heck? They're kind of caught up to themselves.
Yep. My apologies for not keeping up, but I'm not sure about NWA Power. I'm not sure how far out they tape shows. I'm not sure.
No, I'm not sure. I haven't checked in on them yet. I'm going to have to do that here to see what the heck's going on with them.
All right. So, anyway, we talked about how they were doing. We've talked about some highs and some lows on the Zero session. To get into it, I think that since they've been doing it, there have been different approaches, I think, from each show. Obviously, Raw and SmackDown have their own unique talent, but you're getting kind of the same commentators. NXT's also got some decent stuff coming out of that. I think the thing for me is you're getting to see a lot of things that I think for a lot of people who have never been able to experience it live, I think that's a really cool thing.
Yeah, I think something like that. I think maybe it could be possibly helping some of the talent actually be better on the mic, maybe, because they gotta do it without a crowd and not get that reaction and still try to get that story going and that atmosphere. I mean, that's tough in itself.
And we'll talk about this a little bit later in the show, but I think what it's really shown me is it's separating from who is able to take the situation they've been given due to the hurricane.
Damn that hurricane.
Taking the things taking the things that they've been given and making it work. I think you've seen a lot of the established superstars of all the brands and everything doing their thing. They've been able to kind of transition to the way that it is. Some people have chosen to kind of just continue on like it's nothing. I think especially on SmackDown, you've seen Miz and Morrison have kind of just continued the dirt sheet. They've kind of. I think they honestly prefer there's nobody there because they're able to. Well, they're able to really, really kind of pat themselves in the back would be the PG way to say that while they're out there.
Yeah, and they're a lot better at saying their chant than the rest of the crowd because they really don't want to.
I'm sure that these guys are loving the fact that their rap career is taking off with no fans, because if there were fans, I have a feeling they wouldn't be able to get out much of a verse without a few boo birds coming down from the cheap seats.
Morrison's drippy drip or whatever. I'm not sure about.
I am not going to attempt to say what they say they are, because I'll be perfectly honest, during those segments when they get into the rap thing, I tune out those moments. I don't tune out their whole segment because I do love Miz and Morrison together. Really
they're great. Yeah, great.
Really glad that John Morrison came back. But my whole thing is I don't know what those two are doing.
Well,
but
hearing that the first time, I'm like, what? Did he just say that? And I got confirmation. Yes, they did say that. I was like, oh Lord.
I was also impressed at the ability that they had to shoot a music video. I mean, even with a hurricane going on, they were able to shoot a full outside music video. It
must have been in the eye of the storm. That probably helped them.
And last I checked, it's just the hurricane. There are no shits with him.
Yeah.
Anyway, for me, I feel like it was hard to build WrestleMania into what they wanted without a crowd. I feel like a bunch of things had to be adjusted. You can tell in some of the performances, people were having to sort of cut promos that they were normally going to be pandering to a crowd, where now they have to pander to literally nobody.
That is true.
Especially when you watch AJ Styles with the OC, I feel like that. I feel like there were going to be a few more. AJ's always been good at sort of emoting to the crowd, whether he's a heel or a babyface. At least in my opinion.
Yeah, or like I was sitting back and watching SmackDown last Friday where they're doing the 25th with Triple H, and here comes Shawn Michaels out, and I was like, oh boy, they were just going back and forth. It was great. But then Vince coming out going, okay, we're all done, and then he leaves and the lights go out. It's like, yeah, the boss says time to go, you gotta go.
Well, yeah, and I'll jump into my thoughts on Vince here in a second. He'll be coming up in one of our next topics, but... on the other side of the coin, we have our friends in All Elite Wrestling, or as I will be referring to them in the future, Spot Monkey Wrestling. They seem to have also been able to put on a few shows. In my opinion, I think AEW, in my opinion, and this will be one of the few times I think people hear me compliment these guys, I think they've been able to put on overall a better performance than WWE, because I feel like WWE's been trying to be a little too professional about it. They've tried to ignore the situation a little too much.
Yeah, maybe.
I mean, with the hurricane going on, there seems to be a lack of the fans, and the way that I look at the situation, AEW, I heard Jim Cornette say on the Jim Cornette Experience. They're sort of not making fun of a wrestling show. They're more so trying to have fun with a wrestling show. Obviously, you had Jericho's inner circle all as the audience, I guess, would be the best way to put it.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it, yeah.
Sammy Guevara, I don't necessarily know if he's on his way to a Grammy with his performance of Judas.
Probably not, but...
Sammy, stick to being Jericho's lackey. We don't need you to perform the song. I love Judas, by the way. Absolutely.
Oh, yes.
Great song.
Great song. And and then Jericho fighting with the drone. That's
Vanguard 1.
Yeah.
Vanguard 1.
I'm sorry. But yeah, it's like they're doing good, with the...
He has a name, Leroy. We must respect that.
I apologize to Matt. I'm sorry.
Don't apologize to Matt. You have to apologize to Vanguard.
I'm sorry, Vanguard. Sorry, I apologize.
He's a valued member of the Hardy compound clan. He's a very, very valued team member. He's been an absolute loyal soldier to our exalted leader, Broken Matt Hardy.
One of the most interesting versions of Matt Hardy I've ever seen in his whole entire career that I've been watching him. It's very interesting.
We'll go into Broken Matt Hardy a little on another show, but anyway, here's a little thought for the future here. Leroy is going to be giddily awaiting my thoughts on AEW, as I have referred to them.
And I'm only allowing him a certain amount of time because I don't think you want to hear him going an hour, which he probably could, about how he loves, quote unquote, loves. I'm being sarcastic with that. AEW.
I'd rather catch the hurricane than watch the first month of shows of AEW.
I'd rather catch probably anything. Well, you have to see a doctor, maybe get a pill than AEW sometimes. But hey,
apparently you have to get a doctor's approval to get tested for the hurricane going on right now.
Yeah, I know, and you have to sit on your phone or computer and talk to him. It's kind of weird. I haven't done that yet. I wanted allergy pills, and I just called them, and they sent me to them, which was great.
Yeah.
Which is better than anything else.
Even during a hurricane.
Mm-hmm.
So anyway, so it's I feel like AEW, they've put on some decent wrestling matches, but again, I feel like you have a bunch of people that are used to this type of atmosphere, not necessarily empty, but smaller crowds, working without a crowd, having to emote when you don't have 20, 30,000 people coming down. Because if there's anything that we know that to be true about AEW, a lot of guys, they're not used to large crowds. I mean, probably the closest you'd have would be Cody, Jack Hager, Jericho, obviously, and then obviously Omega. But Omega, I feel like Omega is in his element where Omega has a very, I call it sporadic, sometimes schizophrenic style of wrestling.
Yeah, I agree with that.
But for me, I feel like Kenny Omega certainly. Being in Japan, obviously, for those of you who don't watch Japanese wrestling, the crowd tends to be a little more quiet. It tends to be a lot more Japanese, Asian culture inspired with the audience, where it's a lot more respecting the athletes, giving the athletes an opportunity to perform. Not a lot of emotions emitted from the audience, at least from what I've seen many times. And for Kenny Omega, I feel like that's pretty easy for him to do his thing. Obviously, as a gaijin, I believe is the term over there. If you're the Westerners,
yeah, I believe so.
Yep. Gaijin. I'll have to double check that a little later. But anyway, it's just I feel like AEW's done a little better overall because I feel like correct me if I'm wrong, but it just seems like WWE's trying too hard to ignore the fact that there's no one there.
I think some are and some aren't. I mean,
New Day withstanding.
Well, yeah, it's like, hey, welcome everybody at home. I was like, that's just so
people at home.
It would not be any. We couldn't have New Day without Big E. I mean, that alone is just
you really couldn't.
Hilarious.
It's so good. I feel like my whole thing just is. I mean, it's weird, but I mean, again, you're going to be getting a lot of opinions here from people who are much more on the indies circuit, and that's kind of what you have to deal with every day. Is you have to find a way to work with very, very, very limited crowds, and when there's no one there, and you still have to put on a show that has to emote to TV. It's very weird. It's very interesting, but I think what you hear is a lot more of the conversation going on between the wrestlers themselves.
And we hear that. When we got that few independent shows we went to, went down to the one down in the bar down in the Twin Cities for MEW, and there was just a handful of people there because we really couldn't fit that many people in there. But you could hear stuff was going on. You heard stuff because you were a little bit closer than any of the fans because you had to help move a few things that they broke. So you heard, the, oh my God, I can't believe we got to do that again, which you don't want to hear that too often.
We'll explain that story a little bit later, but but needless to say, Jason, who's going to be on the show at some point and have his own thing going on our YouTube channel, baffles my beard. Jason and I may or may not have placed not the incorrect furniture, but the wrong version of the furniture, let's say, where it should have been.
That sounds about right.
We'll explain the full story a little later. But anyway, from one extremely horrible out of the gate failure known as AEW to something that was really, really good out of the gate and then was obviously affected by the hurricane. The XFL has officially filed for bankruptcy. Vince has laid off everyone that was involved. He's being sued by former Commissioner Oliver Luck.
Yeah.
That is more so over Oliver saying that he left the NCAA in order to be a part of the XFL. And supposedly Oliver is suing Vince because Oliver was owed a certain amount of money that Vince has reportedly not paid. Obviously, I don't know too much about it, but that's kind of the current state of the situation. Did you watch any of the XFL? Because
I did.
I never asked you that.
Yeah, no, I had a tendency. I wasn't really paying attention. I was like, oh my God, XFL's on. I got to check this crap out. And I did watch it like every weekend I could, which I think it was just about every weekend. I'd catch at least an hour or so of the games, the ones they had going on, and it was fun. I mean, it was a good game. The couple of the rules that they had in there I thought was unique and should work with the NFL, but I did enjoy it. It looks like the fans, it wasn't a packed stadium, but the crowds were loving it. I mean, it was good football. I mean, it was pretty close to NFL caliber. The players were good and stuff, but I enjoyed it. Yeah, I know some former guys, but
for anyone out there listening, if you want to hear any more thoughts on the NFL or possibly the XFL, I'm not sure what they've done. My buddy Michael Mensing, he and some people are doing a podcast, M/N Sports Talk, obviously standing for Minnesota Sports Talk. They are on Facebook at M/N Sports Talk and Instagram at MN all lowercase Sports Talk. And they are actually through Anchor podcasting.
Anchor, okay.
Yep, and so that's what they're doing. They do all things sports with a Minnesota twist. Go check them out, Michael.
Definitely, I think we'll probably throw them up on our page there. Probably
we'll get something on.
Get a link on or something like that, and hopefully they can do the same for us.
Yeah. Quick little plug there before I gave my thoughts. My whole thing is, when I was younger, obviously. I watched a little bit of the original XFL.
I did watch that too, yes.
And I think that at the time, they were trying to compete with the NFL. They didn't really have the games on at the right time. So many. I mean, at this point, you've had the AFL, the USFL, formerly run and owned by our esteemed president, Donald Trump. That sentence hurt me to say.
God, yeah.
Anyway, so
I'm in pain.
Anyway, so but the thing about it is I feel like the NFL. Okay, so I mean, I'm gonna go on a quick non-wrestling thing for a second. You've been watching football for many years, as have I, and I feel that football to me is one of those sports where I've also coached semi-pro before. It's an intellectual sport. I know it doesn't seem like that because, a lot of people just think of 300-pound guys sort of bashing into each other, knocking each other out type of situation. But to me, it's just the way the game is designed. It's like human chess.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean, you get, as they say, you get the field general, the quarterback, trying to figure out where he can throw the ball or who he can pass it to, hand it off to the running back and see what they can do. I mean, you got to be smart to be able to do it.
But see, to me, I feel like it's the one sport where the fans are just as educated on the game, or at least they try to be, as the players and coaches themselves. I mean, So, I mean, where I'm getting with this is because I feel like football is such that type of sport. You're not going to be able to fake it with certain fans. You're not going to be able to get.
Not.
See, to me, everyone wants to think that Vince lost out on the first version of the XFL because he tried to get too gimmicky with bringing the wrestlers in. He tried to steal ratings by having The Rock and Jesse Ventura and all the big names because Vince thought that wrestling was going to get him to be successful with the XFL. And obviously the ratings kept dipping. But, the thing about it was that I think the biggest problem with the original version of the XFL, and this is not just an opinion, I think this is an actual fact, I just don't think the quality of football was there.
No,
football is such a...
It wasn't. I mean, the one thing I remember, and a lot of people remember, is the one person. He hurt me on a jersey.
He hate me.
Oh, he hate me. Well, whatever. It's close.
Actually did go on to play in the NFL, played for the Carolina Panthers.
Yeah, but that's the one thing that people remember is the jersey name, so if they change up like that. So.
Well, and here's the thing. I still, it's like I feel like that the WWE and Vince could have turned around and kept some of those little things in this new reboot of the XFL.
Yeah.
But I think the thing about it was, for me, was that there just wasn't the quality of football. Football is such a dominating sport in terms of fans loving it. The NFL is a 12-month bonanza. I mean, as soon as it ends, holy crap, there's the combine. Holy crap, there's the pre-draft workouts. There's the pro days. I mean, and especially in the age of social media where you can watch guys' pro days like live on Facebook or live on YouTube or Twitter, all those places.
Oh, yeah.
It's just, I don't think the first runaround, I just don't think Vince had the quality of football. The players weren't there.
No, and I think back then, no. Probably, I don't think so.
It's like back then, I feel like free agents of football felt that if they were going to get paid to play football, they'd rather be in the NFL. Whereas nowadays, because there's such a ability to present your product, there's TV, there's Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, so many things. So much social media driven stuff can happen these days that stuff is so much bigger, and you can try something and more people can see it. So the ratings would be there. Also, Vince decided, I'm going to do it directly after the Super Bowl. We're going to have our season in between the Super Bowl and in between when training camp starts. So you're not really competing with the NFL. You're taking over those 2 months of no football. From the Super Bowl to
it gives some people like me, as I joke, I bleed purple all year, and then it sucks when after the Super Bowl I'm like, ugh, and then it's the draft, and I'm like, oh my God, it's starting soon.
And I feel like the reboot had quality of football.
It did,
The rules allowed you to see more points, although I'll be honest, the games I were watching were very defensive driven. I mean, didn't score as many points as I was expecting.
Oh, God.
The games I watched averaged like 30 points.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, there was a couple games I watched that were in the 40s. It was one team just totally annihilating the other team.
And the thing about it is that Vince was able to bring in guys who had been in the NFL, had that exposure, or at least had that exposure on a large college level. And I feel like if the hurricane hadn't happened, I feel like the XFL would have been 100% successful because they were the only thing on ESPN, FS1. They all had the games. They all got into
Fox.
It. FS1, Fox,
Fox, yeah.
But that's just it. Is you had your top football crew guys who were interested in the XFL. They didn't think it was a gimmick. They didn't think it was a game. They believed in it, and they loved the rules, and they were, they were talking about it on SportsCenter. They were talking about it on the Colin Cowherd show. They were talking about it on what's the show before that? Undisputed. I apologize.
Okay, all right.
But no, it's just I feel like everybody wants to sit here and say it's another failed venture by Vince McMahon, which I don't think it. I can't put the failure on Vince McMahon. I'm sorry, I can't, because in my opinion, when you were looking at the fact that they were getting tremendous ratings for all the games, they were actually being watched. Like the stadiums were actually fairly full for a league that was taking up baseball stadiums. It's just they filled our need for a sport that is just so dominant, and we all want it 12 months out of the year. And again, it was quality.
Yeah, it was. If it wasn't for an outside interference and things happening that nobody had control of, it did make it. But if we didn't have that issue, they definitely would have made it. I don't know if they're going to try again. They could. They could not. Well, from what
I've heard, they filed for bankruptcy. Vince got rid of all the staff, and I think there's some people that have emerged to possibly buy it to maybe reboot it. But the thing for me is I also think you had a talent pool for it. I think there were guys who were going to be into it. I think you were able to get guys who were going to get a second or third chance at football and maybe get the opportunity to play in the NFL. I mean, for a lot of guys, this was going to be game footage. This was going to be the opportunity. This was going to be the opportunity to maybe get yourself on the roster, which would have been absolutely phenomenal.
Well, there's a few that did make it in there. A lot got cut, and speaking of cuts, we can go on to the next one. They're these lovely
flawless transition.
Oh, thank you.
So once again, from a situation that was hurt by the hurricane to another situation that's been hurt. WWE has announced over the last week or two since we recorded. It's been about a week. I would say. WWE announced a large amount of cuts.
So around both 40 people. It said.
All right, I'm going to give my opinion on whether I think it was a good idea or bad idea here in a second. But a couple of people right now. We're not going to go through the entire list. If you want to look up the list of the guys who were cut, it's all over the internet. But,
definitely.
You go down the list here. You got Rusev, Carl Anderson, Luke Gallows. Probably the biggest surprises for me were those guys.
Yeah, definitely. I don't know about Rusev. He was wanting to get out.
I think that Rusev was at a point where I just think they didn't know what to do with him, and it turned into a bad situation. But other names on there were Eric Young, EC3, who was only known as EC3 due to his commitment to Impact, no longer being a thing. Leo Rush was gone, kind of a surprise to me. They kind of built him up for a while, but it turned into one of those situations where I think a lot of backstage stuff that was reported. Again, we're not insiders. We don't have that information. We're not there. We don't know the reasons. But Zack Ryder, Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater, Sarah Logan were others. Eric Rowan, No Way Jose. Here's the thing. I'm going down this list here. Now, first of all, when I go down the list, once we get to producers, referees, and even Aiden English as announcers, it has been announced, though, we need to understand, a good portion of the backstage people, they were just basically put on administrative leave with pay. Supposedly, in July, WWE... I don't want to botch the word right now. I don't know like what to say.
It's what they call it now is the furlough. The furlough.
Furlough. Okay. So
furlough.
Anyway, no, it's just so. I mean, supposedly a lot of those people will be back, but here's my thing about cutting it. Yes, I understand people lost their jobs, but here's the deal. A lot of people on the internet were like throwing shade at Vince, getting angry, getting mad, all this stuff. Let me make one thing clear to everybody here, okay? At some point, you can't sit there and have a 75 to 100 person roster and just expect everyone to just, become stars. I feel like WWE dropped the ball on a lot of guys. I feel like that in this age of social media, in this age of the network, they could have been given many more opportunities. I'll actually have some more thoughts on that. On a different show about what I think the WWE could have done with their guys backstage who didn't get large TV time. But truth be told, outside of the OC, who were basically in the main event of night one of WrestleMania getting cut, my biggest thing is when you look down the list, and it's like, look, a lot of these names, I'm a soft spot for these guys. I enjoyed it. It was a lot of fun to watch them perform. But you look at these people, Primo and Epico, I mean, for God's sakes, in one way or another, outside of being matadors, I mean, like, when was the last time they were on television? Eric?
Years?
It's like,
been a long time.
Look, again, Leroy and I are not big in the wrestling business. I am not a pro wrestler. Leroy is not. I physically am not allowed to be in the contact sport. Leroy is physically keeping himself out of the contact sport.
Yeah, because it just... it wouldn't be good.
Anyway, but it's just, I mean, No Way Jose, Kurt Hawkins, Heath Slater. I mean, these are guys that, yes, you knew for over a decade in WWE, but they weren't doing anything. And it's like everybody wants to sit here and whine and cry. Look, here's the deal. You are pros. You are in a professional sport that is extremely competitive. And the fact of the matter is that, are you going to sit here and tell me that Kurt Hawkins, who, again, set I think, a record for however the longest match losing streak was. I mean, the guy didn't win for, like, a damn year.
I think he was, like, pushing the same amount of I don't know if it's pretty damn close about half the amount of matches that Goldberg won in a row that he lost in a row. I mean, I think it was crazy.
It was like the anti-streak or whatever the hell you want to say. But it's just, look, first of all, a lot of these guys, I think, might come back once this is over.
Definitely.
Once again, America, world, I don't care. It's affecting all of us. This hurricane has been an absolute like schneid shit show for all of us. But here's the deal. This is going back to my XFL. If the hurricane doesn't happen, these guys don't get cut. Because WWE can sell tickets, they can have live events, they can use them off TV, they can have their opportunity. And WWE has more income because ticket sales are a large portion of income. They keep companies alive and they kill companies. But it's like, my whole thing about it is, and Leroy, I'll let you get in here in a second, but my whole diatribe on this is just, it's just, look, this is something that hit everyone. No one knew how to react to it. No one knew it was going to hit us the way it did. And companies are reacting in ways that, look, I actually don't fault too many companies, no matter what they're doing to their employees or what they're doing to their customers. The fact is that you don't know what's going to happen when the hurricane passes. You don't know what's been going on. In our lifetimes, we haven't experienced this. And what pisses me off are people that turn around and they're just like, oh, well, they could have held them on. They have the money. It's like, you do realize that when you're considered a billionaire, which Vince McMahon, I think, still is.
I believe so, yes.
Okay. you don't have $1 billion lying around, okay? Part of the reason we started the podcast is I don't want to type this stuff on Facebook for the PWL, so y'all can listen and you can at me, comment me, whatever.
It's a little bit easier.
Okay. Yeah, it's a lot easier for me to just yell at all you guys. But it's just, here's my deal. For God's sakes, you have 5 hours of TV a week for your main roster. That's it.
Yeah.
And you have 75 guys on the roster. This is like freaking 25 some people lost their jobs. And the fact is that, you know what? It's pro wrestling, and everyone's like, well, they could have held on to him. Look, when you don't run a company, you don't understand business. You don't understand the overhead, the payroll. I'm sorry, but I have to side with Vince McMahon that, look, if you think about it from the perspective of the guy who has to keep the place afloat, why would you pay people who obviously aren't going to be on TV, who are doing nothing? And let's be honest, half these people were sitting in catering waiting for their $500 or whatever they got paid per night.
That's about it. And they must have had some damn good catering there. I heard it was pretty good.
I'm not saying that Heath Slater didn't love wrestling. Stone Cold Steve Austin himself has said it numerous times. Heath Slater is a walking gimmick. The dude has been fun to... I love Heath Slater. But if you go back and listen to Heath Slater, he has no ill will towards WWE. He said, I've been there for like 15, 16 years, and probably over the last few, I had lost my passion. Because all I did was put guys over. Heath Slater's the only member of 3MB who hasn't had a world championship yet. And
that could happen. You never know.
Look, Heath Slater, if you ever get... a chance to hear this, or if you want to be on the show and tell us about it, awesome, that's great. But here's my deal. Heath Slater said it himself. I had lost my passion. And this is the kick in the ass that I needed to get my opportunity to get off my butt and maybe reinvent myself, maybe go do things. And the thing about it is that, yes, there's the horrible story of Kurt Hawkins' wife saying, I am now a stay-at-home mom, and because of my husband's job, I got to do that. But here's the deal. It's like, Vince McMahon didn't create the hurricane, okay? He didn't start it. He didn't do anything with it. There's no reason why this global problem, which is the hurricane right now, it doesn't make any sense why you have to lambaste somebody for, yes, every one of these people that I'm currently looking at here in my notes, they all have a sob story, for God's sakes. Mike and Maria were married and have 2 children.
Yeah, well, yeah, and they're pretty sad. I don't know. I mean... She's all right to look at, but that's about it. Yeah, I don't see them coming back. But yeah, I mean, I agree with you. I mean, the Good Brothers, I'm like, wow, they should have come back. I mean, they'll come back. I mean, the Good Brothers, Leo Rush. Honestly, Sarah Logan probably will come back. I mean, she was all right.
I'm gonna be honest.
She might. You don't think so?
No. Sarah Logan, I think, might be back in some capacity. I mean, her husband's obviously still part of War.
Yes.
Not War Machine. Sorry, the Viking Raiders.
Viking Raiders.
I'm sorry.
Yes.
I just we'll talk
2 or
about
3 names.
Anyway, no, it's just for me. I looked down the list and I could see bringing Heath back. He was a good soldier,
yes.
and again, maybe Heath will have a passion that he himself admittedly lost, but at least Heath is being professional about the fact that, you know what, I lost my passion. I understand why they did it, and I'm going to take this, on the chin. I'm going to get my butt up, and when this hurricane passes, I'm going to reinvent myself, and I'm going to get back to where I think I deserve to be. I will say this though.
Okay.
Little quick side note. Drake Maverick. I'm sorry. The way that they have taken his Twitter video, which if you haven't seen it, was very heart-wrenching about the fact that he basically announced on Twitter via video that he had been released from his WWE contract and he's being allowed to compete still in the Cruiserweight tournament for the interim thing, because Jordan Devlin is obviously stuck in Ireland due to the hurricane.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
But it's just, in my opinion, the way that they have taken his video and they have put money into a package for him. I watched NXT last week and he had this big, 2-3 minute package where they had drone shots of him on a bridge talking about his career, saying this about something tells me they're gonna find a way to either keep him or bring him back, or they're gonna have him win the whole damn thing. I don't know.
But, yeah, you never know. I mean,
but it's just, I look up and down the list here and it's like, I'm sorry, I'm looking at guys. I don't care how long you were there. Businesses change like that, and they have for flipping decades. I mean, nothing lasts forever.
I have a feeling that, maybe the Colon brothers were there just so Vince was doing a favor for their father, who he put in the Hall of Fame or something. I mean, that's about all they have going. They were okay.
Leo Rush is a tremendous talent, and I've said that from the first time I saw him. When I don't remember if he won the Ring of Honor, tournament for like all the rookie guys or whatever. But I remember watching him on the Indies, and I'm like, the kid's got everything, and he's extremely talented. But it's just, here's my thing: is like 75 plus people were on the flipping roster. Okay.
Oh, yeah, we can't have that many on there. It's not going to work.
And here's the deal: when you can't travel, and you can't, because again, what's the oldest saying in wrestling? 300 days a year, you have to do this. So 52 weeks out of the year, only 104 televised shows, 5 hours a week. So people who you don't see on TV could wrestle 4 times a week in front of a live audience, but there's no live audience. That was the first flipping thing we talked about. Were empty arenas, and I'm sorry. Are you like, okay? You honestly are going to sit here and tell me that, oh, they're going to put on empty arena live events for who?
Well, the cameraman and the cable guy to hold the cable, and
for those of
some of the producers, that's about it. For those of you
who have never been to a WWE live event, for crying out loud, first of all, they're amazing.
Yes.
Jason and I got to see them from Amazing Seats, the future story. But anyway, it's just, the whole point is to have people experience wrestling. Not for television. It's a much different atmosphere. The wrestlers have a lot more freedom because you're not held down by the FCC. You're not held down by television standards, what your network wants. It's just, that's my whole thing. It's just, for the love of God, you can't have a live event without fans. You can't. There's no point.
No, it's hard, very hard to do.
If it's for TV, I get it. But
they're
for
trying,
God's sakes,
yeah.
people. I mean, for crying out loud, is someone going to sit here and tell me that Kurt Hawkins was ready to all of a sudden tell us all that we have to face the facts? And that's not a shot at Kurt Hawkins, but that was just his thing.
Well, yes.
Like, but it's like, are you honestly going to tell me that all of a sudden WWE, just to keep this guy employed, we're going to put him on TV when they can barely find room for the guys they have?
No, they weren't. No,
I mean, 5 hours of television a week, and I'm sorry that I'm getting off on these guys for losing their job, but it's like, people, stop getting mad at something that Vince McMahon couldn't control.
Yeah.
This has affected everyone. Some people still have their jobs. Some people don't. Hell, my girlfriend right now lost both her jobs due to the hurricane, and she can't get either one of them back because she works in entertainment. Now, yes, you can argue that WWE is essential entertainment. Whatever, I don't care. That's for the governor of Florida to understand.
He got his pockets lined, I think, a little bit. But hey. Money talks.
If I had that much money, I'd be lining a few people's pockets for things. I'm not even gonna lie about that crap.
I do agree with you there.
But I mean, like Leroy, I'll give you a few minutes here. I mean, your thoughts on this? I mean, just like name someone on this list outside of Rusev, Carl Anderson, and Luke Gallows who had a career worth talking about for more than 10 minutes.
Nobody. I mean, we got the producer in there that they're going to be back, but anybody else, it's like we see him every, Eric Rowan with his spider thing. Once they
took the cat out of the bag or the spider out of the cage, and then they killed it using Drew McIntyre, he was done. I
mean, I don't know where else they were going to go with that. I mean, hey, maybe he'll meet up with his buddy in AEW there. But, I mean, everybody else, it's like they didn't use him. I mean, they tried to do something with Mike and Maria, and, it didn't work. But, hey, I mean... they got to go way to go. I mean,
and it's like everyone who's like, oh well, they'll show Vince that they'll catch on somewhere else. AEW ain't in the process of hiring anybody, nor are any of the companies that we like. It's like no one's hiring.
I know everybody thinks it's like they're going to go
for 2 weeks. If things go back to normal and WWE can get back their money, then maybe they'll resign people. Okay, that's my diatribe. We'll go into it maybe a different time. From current WWE cuts, some sad news to report here. Obviously, we're late to the party, but Howard Finkel passed away. The Fink, the longtime voice of WWE, the voice of WrestleMania.
Definitely,
very sad. Leroy, he was the voice of wrestling for most people.
Oh, definitely. I mean, growing up, watching the old stuff around, Minnesota, and then I started watching WWE. Yeah, every week I heard him announcing everybody coming in. I mean, he announced everybody. I mean, between him and Mean Gene Okerlund, the two mainstays in me growing up when it comes to any of the ring announce or anything to do with it, it's him.
And he was the longest tenured employee. I mean,
definitely.
He was the first employee, essentially, of
pretty much
Titan Entertainment that Vince had. Yeah.
He wore his tux really well every time,
You hear stories about people, and he's one of those guys that just from the stories, you have to gather that he was just an unbelievable human being. Because not only that, but it's like, here's the deal. For me, I can always tell when somebody is enjoying the job. We'll talk about WrestleMania here in a little bit. I thought the Boneyard match worked because people were excited, because they were into it. Styles and Taker, they wanted to do it. But Howard Finkel did a lot of stupid things on television. They put him through a lot of jokes, but he smiled through it. He looked like he enjoyed it. And then of course, I teared up when I told the story to my girlfriend, but I'll just say it right here. The story of Vicky Guerrero saying that,
I was going to say that
he
too.
flew back to Phoenix with Eddie Guerrero after Eddie had passed away in Minneapolis. So from Minneapolis to Phoenix, Vicky Guerrero tweeted out that Howard said, "I don't want Eddie to fly alone." I mean, you can't tell me that's a bad person. You can't tell me that is anything other than a gentle soul and a man who we all love. And Howard, your voice will always be part of my life and will always be part of just wrestling. And
my childhood, my growing up, and him, yes.
So, like I said, the man was the voice. Moving on here, the voice of WrestleMania. We told you we were going to get into WrestleMania here a little bit, so we're going to try to get that in here. WrestleMania 36 was the first WrestleMania too big for one night. We all know ultimately why they didn't have the show at Tampa Bay Stadium.
Wow.
We know
not
why.
a good place for the Hurricane, No, open stadium is just not good. It's messy.
So anyway, 2 nights. I think we both said that we gave each. I think overall you gave the both nights about a 4.5.
Yeah, around a 4.
Yeah, I gave night 1 a better review than night 2. I just think there was a much different situation going. So anyway, night 1 for me. I guess I'll talk about night 1 because I felt like that was my strongest night, at least in my opinion. The matches were, in my opinion, well done. They were some of the more heated matches. I feel like people really got things going on the first night. And again, WWE, when their backs are against the wall, they'll put out a really good product, in my opinion. And and everyone was like, "Oh, why even watch this WrestleMania? I'm not hyped for it. There's no fans." It was a good show.
It was good. I mean, I think I remember it. They started didn't they start out with Elias and Corbin? I think it was one of the first ones.
I believe that was one of the first matches that was there.
Yeah, and King Corbin was like, "Oh, I'm here. He can't be here." And then all of a sudden, here comes Elias with the guitar.
I think the first match was Becky and Shayna, wasn't it? Wasn't that open WrestleMania?
No. I think no. That was after that. I don't know. Okay. I'd have to look it up to exactly whatever. But yeah.
Okay, so I mean, I'm going down the list here that I have in front of me of Mania Day 1. You had Braun versus Goldberg. Little short, I thought could have been going a little different. But when you have a giant versus a giant, you're not going to get a spectacle match. Okay.
Well, and it does help. Like what Goldberg's like 50 something. I mean,
almost 60, I think. So
yeah. I'm not up there, but you know what? Doing that for a period of time, it's going to wear my butt out, and I could not go that long. I mean, 5-6 minutes, and I was like, oh yeah, put a fork on me, I'm done. Yeah. Definitely.
I'm looking it up here. Bill Goldberg is 53. I apologize.
53. Oh, okay.
I apologize, Bill, for giving you a little too much age there, but no, it's just it was a giant versus a giant. It was an old school heavyweight bout. I go back to the friggin' heavyweight boxing match we just saw. You're not going to see finesse. You're not going to see juke and jive and down. It's a heavyweight fight. These were super heavyweights. These were, this was going to be hard hitting. And when you hit that hard, to make it realistic, to make it seem like like something that isn't totally fake, like AEW does a few times, it's like, so it doesn't come off as a completely fake spectacle. It's not going to last long when you're hitting each other with your best shot out of the gate. You're hitting... Braun Strowman is like a 6'8" human being that should not move the way he does for 6'8", 300+ pounds. But for crying out... But here's the deal. If Braun Strowman punches you, I don't give a damn if you're the Big Show. I don't give a damn if you're Rey Mysterio. It's going to hurt, and it's going to make you a little bit loopy.
It definitely, yeah. It would make me even... It'd make me loopy for probably about a week if I get hit by Braun one.
So anyway, it's like people get off how slow the match was, although I don't think it was their strongest effort.
It wasn't.
Owens and Seth, perfectly done. Owens and Seth were both involved. They were both happy. They had fun.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
With the storyline. I mean, I feel like both guys were into it, and it was a lot of fun. The women's tag match was what I kind of expected was going to happen. Yep. Title changes happen at WrestleMania. The Kabuki Warriors had it for so long, it was time for a change. And I'm sorry, I love... Nikki Cross since she got with Alexa Bliss.
She is so fun.
There's more personality in Nikki Cross with Alexa Bliss than she had when they were in Sanity.
Yeah.
When she was in Sanity, I thought she was great, but my God. Nikki Cross is what you want every one of your best friends to be like. I mean, she's so supportive. She's so into it.
Yes, and then when she was doing commentary when Alexa was in her own match, she was like the crowd for Alexa. I mean, totally. I mean,
beautiful, absolutely.
Yeah, they didn't know what to do with her there.
I also like how Nikki Cross is sort of coming off as like one of the gals now. You know, I'm not here to be sexist, but it's like when you know she takes off the corset a little bit. You see the sports bra. You realize Nikki Cross is a lot more gorgeous and in shape than I think Sandy let her be.
Yeah.
Obviously, for the story, you don't want her to come off as a glam girl, but I mean, Nikki Cross, in my opinion, looks great, and I think that is a huge part of what they do because wrestling's for guys. You want them to like what they see.
Yeah, we gotta like what we see on there, or if we don't, we're gonna turn the channel.
I didn't know how Nikki Cross was gonna work with Alexa Bliss because Alexa Bliss is sort of the Barbie doll type of look. But my God, Nikki Cross has shown me not just from a personality standpoint, but just from a look.
You can stop looking at Alexa Bliss, and then you look.
I will never stop looking.
Okay, all right. But for a half a second, you can look at.
I will never stop looking at Alexa Bliss. I'll say it right now. Elias and Corbin, it's kind of a wash, but I liked it. It was interesting. I feel like the guitar shot could have been the ending, not the beginning, but. Yeah, that's not here. The SmackDown Tag Team match was obviously a triple threat ladder match with one half of each team due to the fact that The Miz showed up to work WrestleMania and had been affected by the hurricane, or at least seemed like there were some effects of the hurricane. Don't really know what it was. I don't think he was fully blown away by the hurricane, but I think he just didn't feel well from the hurricane.
Yes.
From the hurricane.
Oh, definitely.
So they decided to come up with a story where it was just going to be three guys. Interesting ending. I don't think I've ever seen a ladder match end where nobody had a belt, but they all had the thing that was holding the belt.
But the rules of the match is the first person to get the belts or belt is the winner in their hands, and it did work out that way. He did grab the belts, and he was the last one to have hold of the belt when they came off.
He never hit the floor, though. He hit the ladder.
Well, he hit the ladder, yes, but at least he had it in his hand. I mean, it doesn't matter. Usually they're up there, ripping it up, going, "Yeah, I got it." But,
Daniel Bryan, Sami Zayn. I personally like it. I guess the whole Drew Gulak thing doesn't make a lot of sense to me, just because Daniel Bryan is saying, "Drew Gulak, train me." Daniel Bryan is literally in GOAT category. Daniel Bryan's one of the greatest technical wrestlers that have ever existed, so I don't really know what that's about, but I like Drew Gulak. I've seen a lot more personality out of him since he's done this. And,
he's a lot better.
You give Sami Zayn a microphone, and my God, is Sami Zayn gonna put on a hell of a show? That he's annoying as hell, and my girlfriend just wants him to flip and get tombstone through a friggin' thing of nails. But
that could happen. You never know.
I always look at her and say, "Yeah, but he's doing his job. You don't like him. Like, I mean, he's supposed to be doing that. Unlike our boys over in All Elite Wrestling, who are like, oh, we're all good guys, and hey, cheer for both of us." I digress. Anyway, but no, Daniel Bryan versus Zayn, good match. I thought the ending made sense because Zayn hadn't had the belt for that long, and it was what it was. You obviously had Cesaro and Shinsuke Nakamura there. I think it's good that Shinsuke has a translator, sort of. I guess you could call it Sami Zayn right now, but
it helps him get over a little bit more because he doesn't talk that much. No. If he was talking in his natural language, and
which they've actually been doing a lot more with people. Grand Metalik just this past SmackDown spoke solely in Spanish, which was kind of cool. Asuka was the best thing on commentary I had seen in a long time, and I didn't understand a damn word of it. So,
but we got to be bilingual, like Jerry the King Lawler. He knows exactly what she's saying,
of course,
and couldn't repeat it on TV.
Going to Becky and Shayna, I honestly thought maybe Shayna was going to win because it was WrestleMania.
So did I.
But here's the deal. I think Becky's at the peak of what Becky can be, but why not still ride that train for a little while longer? And in my opinion, it's like Shayna had been so dominant towards Becky that I think it helped both women, in my opinion, because in my opinion, that's how Shayna was in NXT. She came back and she ended up beating Ember Moon, I believe it was. I could be wrong about that. I'd have to double check my research here. But, Shayna lost her first big title match in NXT, and then she came back and became the star. So, I don't think Shayna's going to get buried. I don't think she's all of a sudden a mid-card, but, I think...
No, she's not a
mid-card, I think that, again, it's solely dependent on what they do with her going forward.
Well, I think
the loss, in my opinion, won't hurt her if they write it correctly going forward.
Well, we'll see what they do in the Money in the Bank, because she's in there in the ladder match, and she's having them tools to start hitting on people. Yeah. That's going to get dangerous.
So now let's get to the... I'm sure my girlfriend's very angry that I didn't spend more time talking about her favorite female wrestler, Becky, but sorry, hon, this is kind of how we got to go with this. But... Again, I would like to let Becky and Shayna stay as it is and see where they go with Shayna going forward. I don't think that story is done. I feel like even though it was WrestleMania, this is just another cog in the story. I feel like there's more of Becky and Shayna to come, in my opinion. I don't know if that's a fact. I don't know how they feel in the offices, but I think there's going to be more going on there.
I do hope more. I mean, they were good. I mean, they had good going back and forth and everything like that. I think
they feed off each other well.
They should keep that going.
Now we come to the main event of night one, and I will say it off the back, in my opinion, the best goddamn thing I've seen from WWE in about 10 years. It was... Of course, we're talking about the Boneyard match, which was the rename of Buried Alive of AJ Styles versus The Undertaker. They gave us back The Undertaker of the Attitude Era. They gave us back what I think a lot of people thought was the weakest version of The Undertaker. But again, as I'll explain in a future thing about the Attitude Era, I don't think The Undertaker of the 80s was going to work in The Undertaker to continue as a story needed to have layers to him. And now that they've gone back to a layer like this, I mean, from frickin' Metallica to the eeriness of it to the way it was shot, I believe it was 8 hours over the course. It was like 8 hours a day for like 2 days. They shot. I think it was
for 2 or 3 days they did that. Yeah.
But it's just, I mean, I don't care what anyone wants to say. I don't care what anyone wants to go off. And we'll have a couple people on here who miss old school wrestling and they don't like the entertainment version that Vince has given, but. My God, what AJ could have been against Undertaker in a stadium full of people? God, I still want to know. But this was the best alternative, in my opinion, because you had great... I mean, it was shot so well. Everyone seemed like they got it. They were in the right place. The camera angles were awesome. And here's the thing. AJ Styles and Undertaker... They don't need a gimmick right now. They don't need some gimmicky, crazy, movie... cinema thing to make themselves stand out. They're AJ freaking Styles and The Undertaker, two of the greatest of all time. I mean, these are GOAT type dudes, okay? Because and I'm serious, because honestly, they're that good. And they've always been committed to what they did, but here's the thing. AJ Styles believed in that whole thing. And if he didn't, he acted and faked me out so well. Taker, same way. It got personal. They brought the wives into it. Everything made sense. They turned it from a being of phenomenal, magic essentially, and a redneck, and they turned it into just two dudes who just didn't like each other.
And we're gonna
beat the crap out of each other.
Beat the crap out of it, bury him, and I loved it.
From the way it was shot, from the roof to the transition to AJ groaning, "Don't bury me," to Taker being the old badass that we all loved from the Attitude Era. It's just, it's just, call me crazy. And Leroy, this is one of those things where I want your thoughts. In my opinion, we're going to ignore the clock for this episode right now because
it's not going to work. But let's keep going.
No, it's just anyway. But it's just like. I loved the Boneyard match. I've watched thing half a dozen goddamn times. Because
I haven't done that, but hey, I agree with you. I mean, it's great. I mean,
so
all the aspects, bringing everything back for Undertaker. I mean, going on, all of a sudden, here comes the Druids out. It's like, what? Oh, sweet. No, they're not going to help. They want to beat the snot out of the Undertaker. And what does he do? He takes them all out. I mean, we're used to seeing the Druids coming out and being part of his entourage, and now, it was a little different. It was... the Good Boys entourage stuff. But yeah, I mean, everything they did, going up, fighting up on the roof, the extra explosions they got out for a few different things, that was great, and it was the power of the Undertaker.
It was so 80s slasher horror film.
Oh, yeah.
But like in a good way. I'm not talking like the 20-some crappy remakes of Friday the 13th.
Yes.
I'm talking the good, really great original Jason Voorhees movie.
Like the first two.
Okay, fine. Okay, fine. Yeah, we'll get that. But it's just it. And here's the deal: it wasn't cheesy.
Oh no!
I thought it was going to be too entertainment, but it worked. I don't know why, but I loved it. And by the way, the reaction from the PWL, who usually are very anti-Vince, you guys loved it too. I mean, it's everyone was surprisingly very complimentary of it. And Allison, my girlfriend, who's now just getting into wrestling, she loved it too. And she has a film studies degree actually. And for her, she loved the lighting and everything they were doing. But it's like nothing took me out of it. I never got bored. It wasn't slow, in my opinion.
No, it was good. I mean, it's like when you're sitting there and AJ's sitting there in the tractor going, I'm going to bury the Undertaker. It's like, no.
But they also
the lights,
kept
it's like,
that.
Boom.
They kept the essence of the Undertaker with that scene, but they also kept it in I Am the American Badass version. I mean, it's just everything about it was good. The hits were good. It was mic'd so well. And like I said, here's my thing. I feel, this is my personal opinion, let the writing staff run your career for a little bit.
That'll work.
What I'm saying is, to a lot of wrestlers, if you don't have the ability naturally, like an Undertaker, a Hulk Hogan, a Randy Savage, even a Darren Corbin, who will on a slightly smaller scale, but obviously Darren Corbin, in my opinion, doesn't need someone to write his material. But here's
wonderful.
The thing: a lot of people don't have natural charisma. I would say I have a natural ability to have my talk myself up. I'm not going to deny that. But the thing about it is that if you don't have that, let the writers write for you. Don't hate the writing staff. Don't hate the creative team. I feel like creative fails 95% of the time because the wrestler doesn't believe in it. And if you're a stone cold, you can tell the writing staff to go off yourselves. I don't care. But if you don't have the cachet of that, why not take what someone gives you and just
run with it?
Make it your own. Here's the thing. Everybody wants to think that Vince McMahon says, oh, this is what you're going to do, and I don't care. Do it as I say. I feel like if you bring a good version of it to Vince McMahon will listen. And he'll give you a chance to run with it. He always talked about the no brass ring thing, not grabbing that. What if people just maybe aren't into what they're doing, and they're just... And here's the deal. To you, that might feel like you're passionate by saying no. To him, it might come off as you don't want to be here.
Yeah, well, the one story I heard about, like Vince has said, it's like when Dusty Rhodes came in. Good old Dusty back in the day. And they come in and he's wearing the polka dots. He didn't want to do that polka dots. But he goes, you know what? I'm going to do it. And he ran with it. And he used it so well. I love the polka dots.
And for those of you who stupidly don't know what Leroy's talking about, we're talking about Dusty freaking Rhodes, the American Dream, okay? We're talking about the guy who made everything matter to you.
Oh my! Well, it wasn't for him. None of the guys today. Bray Wyatt,
Dusty Rhodes.
He helped groom Bray Wyatt, Seth, all of them coming up right now. I mean,
that's my point.
Yeah,
the greats had. Okay,
they worked on it.
First of all, let me explain to you people what the Undertaker essentially was. He was essentially a supernatural being who had the ability to summon lightning at any point. And we're supposed to take this seriously, but he made it work.
Oh, yes.
Triple H himself said you could have given the Undertaker gimmick to 99 other guys, but if it wasn't Mark Calloway,
it wouldn't have worked.
It wouldn't have worked because he's protected it so much. He's done so much with it, and it's just, this is my thing. They're like, oh, I have to grab the brass ring. Oh, Vince doesn't like me. Maybe you should take what the writing staff gives you and show that you have passion. And maybe, just maybe, if you make 5 crappy things work to where you're getting a reaction from the crowd, to where people are tweeting about you, to where people want to see you, then maybe Vince will come to you and say, hey, I don't know what to do with you. What do you got? And that's your opportunity.
To go for, oh yeah, and you got to do
Dolph Ziggler said it himself. Vince McMahon, it's not like he's unapproachable, but you can't waste his time. His time is so valuable because he's running 5 hours of TV a fucking week. And I apologize, that's my one F-bomb for the day.
No.
But no, it's just, I get so passionate because so many people are like, Vince is burying, Vince this, Vince that. Make it work. Be yourself and make someone else's stuff your own. Show that you have the creative ability. Show that you have the fire and the absolute passion to say, hey, I'm going to take this crappy thing they gave me, and let's be honest, a lot of what the writing staff comes off can be kind of bad, but
yes,
make
definitely.
it flippin' work. Make the fans believe you care, because I feel like even if you could have the crap. Here's the deal. Y'all people were cheering for a dude with a bunny one time. Don't even lie to me. You cheered for a bunny. And you cheered for it because Adam Rose believed in it. Because he made you believe that this is who he was. Whether or not that was true or not, you believed in Adam. Now, okay, did it wear off after a while? Yes.
Definitely.
But here's the deal. If you can connect once, you can connect more than once. That's the way Vince has always believed. But it's just... people don't believe in stuff anymore because they want instant success. They want to be The Rock. They want to be... Y'all can't be The Rock. Y'all can't be Stone Cold. You want to know why? Because here's the deal. They're not playing characters.
Yeah.
That's who they flipping are.
Oh, yeah, definitely. I mean,
that's
if you watch...
who they are. They are the guys that they portray. The Rock is not playing the Rock. Dwayne Johnson is The Rock as to The Rock is to Dwayne Johnson, okay? But it's just... the Boneyard match was great because they believed in it and because Undertaker has stuck to what he's done. AJ Styles has stuck to what he's done. And it worked because they believed in it and they loved it.
Yeah, or, like The Rock is... if you haven't watched Fighting With My Family, the Page story, I mean, The Rock, he plays himself in there and his little bit that he does. It's the greatest. It was awesome. I mean, I loved it. Because that's who he is, yeah.
So anyway...
so we're going to go to night 2 now?
Yes, Leroy. So anyway... okay. Yeah, so you know what? We're going to have Leroy kind of take you guys a little bit through night 2 here. Leroy, you want to go ahead?
Yeah, night 2. I mean, I liked it more than Zach, as everybody said.
Again, didn't hate it.
It's like night. It was good. And I mean, it had a couple matches. The one that I heard a lot of from everybody heard is the Edge and Orton match. They say, it went too dang long. Well, it's a last man standing match. It's going to take a while to beat somebody, and they didn't have the crowd there too. I mean, that helps.
But it was also a fight.
Yeah, it basically was.
Personal fight.
Yeah, it's
Edge even said, "Oh, we went that long? Cool." But here's the deal.
Yeah.
Here's the deal, folks. And again, I'll let you get back. But I'm sorry. This is another one of my issues. Guys, who said it went too long? It was a fight. It wasn't supposed to be an AEW tag team match where there's 90 flipping flips. These are two guys who were angry at each other. You're not going to jump off of something at someone you hate. You're going to take a weight block and you're going to knock them in the damn skull with it. Was it a little long, a little slow? Yeah, but they're also both older and they're not what they used to be.
Yeah, I mean, me doing the same thing, I'd be worn out after a while too. But yeah, I mean, they showed good. They got tired. I mean, they got worn out. Oh yeah, I mean, but the way they did it, the way they ended it was very interesting. I was like, oh, he's gonna do it. Bam, he nailed him again. Yeah, great match. I don't know. A lot of people didn't like the ending. I liked how it went.
I think it was the length they didn't like.
The length. The biggest thing is the length. I mean, but other than that, I mean, it was good. The Ripley Flair for the NXT title. I was pulling for Ripley. I thought she would actually pull it off. And then she lost. Well, then later on...
I have a feeling it's because they want Charlotte on NXT to compete.
They might want to, but then...
I think it's a ratings battle at this point, and
but then Ripley had a visa issue.
Yeah.
So that could have been part of it. Maybe, maybe not.
We're not here to speculate. For those of
you never know.
For those of you who may or may not know the story right now, Rhea Ripley, supposedly her work visa has expired and she had to go back to, I think it's Australia, not New Zealand.
I believe she's in Australia, yes.
Yeah, so she had to go back to Australia and she has to get a few things sorted out there. But the thing about it is we're not saying that's the main reason why this happened, but I honestly think it's because they want Charlotte on Wednesdays.
Yeah, and that would help the ratings for NXT. But then itself, it was a good match. I mean, Ripley, she did really good against Flair. I mean, she did good. Charlotte Flair is great in the ring. No matter what anybody says.
I don't think you buried Rhea.
Oh, no, you didn't. I mean, she put on a great show that after all this stuff is done, or visa's back, she could come back and she could say, hey, I want a damn rematch, and get a rematch, and she could actually pull it off and win and beat Charlotte. Yeah. And I'd be fine with it. I'd be great. And then a few other matches. The SmackDown Women's the women's title, I mean, that I thought it would go one way or another, but they're keeping it on. They're keeping it on Bailey, and they're gonna work, and keep the boss. I mean, they're doing something there where they're gonna have to go toe to toe. I think that's what they're working into. If it doesn't end like that, there's something wrong.
What the heck are they doing?
I don't know what they're trying to build up, but it's that the Raw titles with them getting the smoke. I mean, that was good. That was kind of messed up because they're gonna have one person in there. He was hurt, so they added somebody else in there. Yeah, it works because they have the 3 new entourage, which I think is interesting. It's a Spanish influenced trio. They have never had anything really like that.
I'm not sure how Latino or Spanish Austin Theory is, but hey, Austin Theory is a good young talent.
Yes, yeah.
Why not use the guy?
And he's been used on Raw a few weeks, and I mean he's good. I mean he did a good job. Black and Lashley. I mean that was kind of one that was thrown out there. I mean,
damn good match.
Damn good. I mean, Aleister Black, I like him. I mean he's great footwork, and he uses that a lot, and he can take
For those of you who don't know,
beating.
actually, Aleister Black, formerly known as Tommy End, in the indie circuit for a while there, which, funny enough, he actually came in with that name. Tommy End was actually what Michael Cole called him when they were doing...
when they first did it, yeah.
Well, when he first showed up to the NXT UK, I don't know if it was the premiere, but it was like an NXT UK situation. He was Tommy End. I mean, if I remember correctly, that's what Michael Cole called him. But then he came out as Aleister Black. But I mean, very surprising to see that happen out of nowhere. But it worked.
It did. I mean, they put on a good match. I mean, they're moving away from.
Sue me, people who didn't watch a lot of it. It was a good match.
Yeah, I mean, they're moving Lashley away from his last storyline, getting him in something new, and God knows what they're going to put him in there. And the 3 other ones I got in here, Otis and Ziggler. I thought that the story with them.
Shout out to Otis. Whose hometown we're currently actually recording.
Yeah, I know. We love our hometown boy, and damn, I'm so glad that the big guy he got the girl, which is great.
I just want to add a side note. One of the writers that they released, I believe it was Sarah Stock. I could be wrong about that, but one of the writers who was a big part of that storyline, I read an article that said that they were going to pull the Ziggler Mandy storyline because the writer wasn't there. You ain't going to pull that thing. That was
you can't. No,
that was the most emotionally like taxing segment out of anything that was on the damn card. I mean, we're so into this thing right now.
Oh yeah, definitely. And it was kind of and what I heard through social media and everything is like. Mandy Rose and Otis were talking. It's like, and they're like, this would be a great story. Why not? They pitched it. It works. I mean, they keep going with the story. It's going to move on to Money in the Bank. Maybe I don't know how they're going to do that, but I mean, it's going good.
Funny story. My buddies Billy and Jimmy, who grew up wrestling with Otis, they always tell me stories of how timid and shy he is, and I'm like.
I don't see that.
Boy, howdy, do you hide that crap? Anyway.
Yeah, not close to being timid or shy. Then the 2 big ones at the end of the day.
Do you want to do Brock and Drew first, or do you want to do the Firefly Funhouse? Because I feel like you have a lot to say about the Firefly Funhouse.
Yeah, I'll go on.
If you can say it correctly, we all know you couldn't do it.
Yeah, I know. I'll try better. But yeah, all good. Drew and Brock. I mean, I wish. It could have been in a big stadium because the pop that Drew would have got from winning that would have been great. But I think they did a good job. I mean, a lot of people knock on Brock. I mean, he did a good job of working this, doing a good match, getting and putting Drew over and getting him in the title. I mean, I thought it was great.
Whether or not you believe the rumors that Brock was pretty angry at the thing. Again,
I don't think he was.
I don't know whether to believe a Brock story or not anymore because the fact of the matter is that, look, Brock Lesnar, and, someday maybe I'll say longer, but let me just say this. Brock Lesnar is a super flippin' attraction. He's not human.
Yeah, no.
You shouldn't have the strength of Bill Goldberg but move like Rey Mysterio. You shouldn't. That's not okay. But the thing about it is that Brock doesn't like people, which is fine. The problem is, okay.
That's why he lives out by himself with his wife.
Crying out loud. And his kids. But it's just, here's the deal. Brock Lesnar just so happened to be given more physical gifts than 90% of the human race. But God just didn't give the man the ability to like people. Randy Moss is a prime example. You have all of God's gifts, but you don't feel like you want to do everything else that comes with it. Randy didn't want to, maybe work as hard as Chris Carter. He didn't want to have the passion for the sport. And Randy Moss has even admitted that Randy probably loves football more now than when he played. But it's just, here's the deal. Sometimes guys get the gifts and they don't want to use them properly. In wrestling, you have to be available to the fans. But Brock Lesnar just doesn't like that. And you know what? I'm okay with that.
Oh, yeah, it's kind of him. I mean,
he's a private guy.
That's fine. Oh, yeah.
But I also don't fault the guy for taking advantage of what God gave him and saying, I'm going to make a lot of money while I do it. Brock Lesnar makes like 16 appearances a year in order to make money to keep the farmer lifestyle. Brock Lesnar doesn't give a damn about anyone but himself, his wife, and his kids, and that's fine.
Yeah, and as everybody knows who his wife is, I wouldn't care about sitting home and having her sit next to me. I'm okay with that too.
So anyway, sorry to interrupt your analysis, but it's just for everyone out there who's like, oh, but what about Brock? No one knows what goes on with Brock except for Brock and Vince McMahon. Okay, that's about it. Unless I hear otherwise from somebody who was there, Brock Lesnar may or may not have been happy. Maybe he wants to go back to UFC. I don't care. Brock Lesnar did the deed. He did the match. He did. I mean, by the way, Brock Lesnar, hell of a worker.
Oh, heck yeah. Him and... he's good. I mean, no matter what anybody says, he's good. That was a great match. And then, yes, the lovely Firehouse.
Now, before we go to that, is there anything... First of all, from our pod, from all of us here at 13 Cards, congratulations to Drew McIntyre for finally
definitely
living up to the hype that Vince McMahon originally believed him. Yes, I know it's wrestling, and you can have a lot of success with or without the WWE, but to win perhaps the biggest title in the history of the business... If not for just pop and circumstance, whether you like the IWGP Heavyweight title more, whether you think the NWA title, regardless of how you feel, the WWE title. And and congratulations.
It's been going so many years. I mean, that title, but yeah.
Congratulations.
Oh yes.
To Drew on that. Anyway, okay. So now, Leroy, what match are we going to? Say it slowly for the people at home.
The Firefly Funhouse
match.
Oh, and
all right.
And some people, they were like, huh? But the way Bray has brought up his character through so many weeks and months, and it's just the way he did it with Cena, and the way Cena was able to do that with him. I mean, going through his whole career and going and making fun of himself basically the whole time. I mean, he was, and it made it very entertaining, and have the possibility of him being part of the NWO and that side effect of being a heel. I thought that was fun poke at that, and him going back, them going back to his WrestleMania match with Bray saying, do it, hit him with the chair. What's going to happen if he gets hit with that chair? Is that going to make Cena different, or is it going to turn him one way or another, or what is it going to do for Bray? I mean, it was great.
And they teased everything.
Oh, they did. I mean,
it wasn't just a run through John's career. It was a run through John's career with Bray. And I think that when the Firefly Funhouse idea came about, and he just came out as this creepy tattooed version of Mr. Rogers.
Yeah, that's the nice and the such lovable characters.
I apologize for my coughing. Obviously, the hurricane might be getting to me, but
yeah, you never know.
I'm quarantined with Leroy, so he's screwed with his hurricane no matter what.
Yeah, no kidding.
Mm-hmm.
But I think, the characters, the little puppets that he has with him, are very interesting. I love them.
I think it's worked.
But you
have to realize
that the one that I thought is very interesting, and I can't believe they're doing it too, is the Vince McMahon kind of devilish character.
But don't forget, a report that I personally believe way back was that Vince felt like he had sort of failed the Wyatt family type thing. He sort of feels he took a personal interest in rebuilding Bray Wyatt. And I think that, Vince has tried to do what he could with it. Now, yes, there have been some bumps in the road. The whole Seth thing didn't work out. I think it was too many kicks. Gene Crossing, obviously we mentioned him on the Zero session. Gene, will have you on the show to talk about that later on. Gene had a good idea that I think they should have ran with, is the Fiend should have choked out Seth, and the referee should have not counted a pin or not rang the bell, and then the Fiend should have just left without the belt.
Yeah, just
or better yet, the Fiend wins but then leaves without the belt. So then Seth just still has the belt because, well, the Fiend didn't want it. But that's nor here nor there because obviously we're on the Firefly Funhouse match. But it's worked.
Oh yeah, I mean it's like it's like you're looking at this match as like, oh, it's seen as, I'm like, yeah, it's from Bray's point of view of what he thought over the years and how much resentment he had for, like, because of this match, it made me this way.
I actually like this more than the Wyatt family. I don't know why.
Oh yeah, I mean the Wyatt family is good in a way, it's like everything, is like the way he did it and where he did, but I mean,
creepy Duck Dynasty looking dude.
Yeah, and that's all right. But now, I mean, right now it's like he sits there and is like, "Let me in." I mean, that's enough.
Fiend. I'm okay. Call me I am 28 years old. Call me a child. I don't care. The Fiend legitimately has made me feel uncomfortable. In the best way.
That's good.
I haven't been afraid because obviously we all know wrestling's a work, but we're not going to sit here and debate that versus good or evil. But it's just it made me it weirded me out. Okay,
it does a little bit, and as like for me for at home, I have
loved it though.
Oh yes, I love him. I love the story. I mean, I have 2 kids. One's 8, one's 4, soon to be 5, and my son absolutely loves the Fiend. Not just any fear. My little girl, she's a little afraid of him, but I said, hey, he's only a character. He's only on TV. Just like I tell him, he's just like The Rock. He's playing a character. Oh, and they connect it. I mean, because they love The Rock.
So from from a bunch of shows or matches that we enjoyed to a match that I think was supposed to be on WrestleMania.
It should have been on WrestleMania.
Should have been on WrestleMania, but due to the circumstances of the hurricane, they decided to probably write something else. Moving on to the third brand of WWE, NXT, the biggest 2 guys I think that have ever been in NXT consistently. Johnny Gargano, Johnny Wrestling versus Tommaso Daddy Ciampa. I don't know.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Yeah, something like that.
But it's just, to me, that match has a lot of similarities to Edge and Orton, but at the same time had its own unique flair. I like how they decided that they probably were going to put it on WrestleMania, but then because of everything, they were like, you know what, we can do something different here. Because remember Triple H. For those of you who don't know, I'm just going to do this for the first time on the podcast. If we have to explain Johnny Gargano and Tommaso Ciampa's history,
I don't think we need to.
If we have to explain that to you, you need to do more research than we do for this show. Because my God, where you been for the last 3 years?
Okay, you have the network. Watch NXT. Anyway, they're on there.
Anyway, I don't know about the ending, but it obviously was to split the 2 of them to give them both a chance at something else in NXT. Obviously, we now know that Johnny Gargano. And I don't know about his wife's new look, but okay, that's what they're going with.
Oh, yeah.
Obviously they're going to do their own thing. I think Ciampa's going to work with Killer Cross and Scarlett Bordeaux. I think that's her name. But anyway.
I don't know what
I think it's Karrion Cross. I heard a rumor that they were going to rename him the Karrion Cross.
I think, that's what I heard too, that they're going to change it. But
no, it's just, look, the match was again a fight. This was so personal. It was a fight, and if you remember when they had their face-off, Triple H said, you guys deserve to end this on the biggest stage. And then Johnny, I think it was Johnny, said, we don't need a stage. We just need each other in an empty building. And then they ran with it. So, but it's just, I wanted to talk about this match separately because Tommaso Ciampa said, I'm not going to the main roster because right now I don't physically have that many years. He said he'd rather retire or become a trainer if they moved to the main roster. It's easier for his family if he gets the ability to stay in NXT. He's also the dude in NXT. He, in my opinion, overall character wrestling, he's the GOAT of NXT right now.
Oh yeah, you gotta have a face of the brand, and I think right now he definitely is.
And then you got Johnny, who in my opinion is the heart and soul of NXT. Love Johnny Gargano. He is Johnny Wrestling. Obviously, they're gonna take Johnny in a darker way. I think they really pushed the Johnny turn for a while, and now it's sort of happened, which I which I
I think I don't remember how many matches they've had, but there are a lot of good matches, and you only can do it so much, and then you gotta move on. And yeah, they did a great job of doing that, setting the stage to see where they're going to go next. And
gonna be honest, totally forgot about Candice LeRae handing him something, and then all of a sudden he pulls the cup out, and then I'm sitting here watching it with Allison. Yes, our lovely Wednesday nights, now that we have a hurricane and we can't go to our normal Wednesday night thing, we are watching NXT, a little bit of AEW. She's not a huge fan of AEW, but anyway, it just all of a sudden the cup, and I'm like, oh yeah, now I'm connecting the dots. Now it makes sense. Anything else on that match? Maybe there, Leroy? Or
no, I mean it speaks for itself. I mean, they're two great gladiators that went toe to toe. I don't know. I can't remember how 3-4 times. I think this is it. I don't remember offhand, but they put on great matches. I mean, they are the heart and soul of NXT. They don't need to move up to the main roster. They can both stay down there.
I agree,
and they can do it, and they could carry this brand for years until they can retire and become agents. I mean,
I agree with Triple H. It's him and Shawn reborn. It is
definitely.
You can always just bring them back, and no matter where they've come from, they're always going to come back together, and it's going to make sense.
Yeah, and when they've tagged together, I mean, great combination when they tag together too, as tag teams.
So. Well, Leroy, we didn't get to all 13, but once again, that's why we named our show the way that we did. I would like to thank everyone once again for making it to this point in the podcast. If you listen that long, like I said, listening to us two ramble on, maybe not the best thing you want to spend your time doing, but
you never know.
Yeah, you never know. But anyway, thank you all for listening. Hopefully, you enjoyed our take on these things. Whatever we didn't get to today, we'll certainly. Hopefully have on the next show for you. Thank you all so much.
Yeah, we got a handful. Yeah. Not too many to go, but
anyway. So from Zach, thank you all so much, Leroy.
And from Larry, thank you very much. And everybody has listened to the first one we did. Thank you. And I hope you enjoyed the second one we got out there. That'll be coming out here soon. And another one.
First official show done. All right.
I know.
I know we said 60 minutes, but like I said...
went a little bit longer than that.
Hey, basically our name is subject to change. So
definitely.
Thank you all so much, and we will all see you guys in the next show.